All right, let's get right into it. A few years back, MultiversX, you probably remember it as Elrond, was, one of the hottest blockchains on the planet. It had this revolutionary tech, a huge community, and a vision that felt like it was going to change everything. But today, well, the story's a little different. And yeah, that difference can pretty much be summed up by this one single, absolutely staggering number. The project's token, EGLD, is trading more than 99% below its all-time high. I mean, that's a dramatic crash by any standard you can think of. So this brings us to the big question we're tackling today, the one that splits everyone right down the middle. Are we looking at a super undervalued project that's just waiting for its moment to shine? Or is this the ghost of a vision that just, well, never really got off the ground? Let's dig in and find out. Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this, we have to start with the cold, hard numbers. Let's just look at the market reality as it stands right now. Wow. I mean, the contrast here tells such a powerful story, doesn't it? As of March 2026, we're talking about a price of just $4. 4. And that's down from a peak of over $540. Its global rank is sitting at 172. So it's clear something went seriously wrong. But these numbers, as bad as they look, are really just one piece of the puzzle. Because to understand the fall, you first have to understand the hype. If the numbers are this low, why was everyone so incredibly excited in the first place? Well, the answer is all about the technology. At the very heart of it all was this concept, adaptive sharding. This was their big innovation. To put it simply, it lets the network dynamically split itself up and then merge back together to handle exactly the amount of traffic it needs to, all in real time. The whole idea was to build a blockchain that could scale pretty much infinitely without ever slowing down. This slide really breaks down their secret sauce. You had adaptive sharding, which we just talked about, as pillar one for that massive scalability. But it was backed up by two other key things: secure proof of stake, which kept the network both fast and safe, and a WASM environment. Now, all that last part really means is that developers could use programming languages they already knew to build stuff, which you'd think would have been a huge draw. And on paper, this tech gave Multiverse a massive edge. I mean, you compare it to a giant like Ethereum at the time, it promised thousands of transactions per second for next to nothing in fees. Its focus was just laser sharp on solving that one big problem, scalability, with its own sharding architecture. So, this is the crucial point, right? If the tech was so good, why didn't it lead to market success? Why did the promise fail so spectacularly to meet reality? To understand that disconnect, we kind of have to look at the timeline. It all kicked off in 2017 with Elrond, a project with this really noble mission: to solve that famous blockchain trilemma, being scalable, secure, and decentralized all at once. By 2020, the mainnet was up and running. But then in 2022, came this major pivot: the rebrand to MultiversX and a totally new focus on the metaverse. And that rebrand, it seems like that's where things really started to go sideways. It wasn't just a name change, it was a whole shift in identity that confused a lot of the early supporters who were there for the core tech. At the same time, all that powerful technology just wasn't turning into real-world use. Competitors were gaining ground with their apps, and MultiversX was getting left behind. It created this perfect storm. You had a disillusioned community and a falling token price, which just fueled even more negativity. Which brings us to this quote that just perfectly captures the whole debate. Is this just a case of excellent, maybe even superior technology that just couldn't find its place in the market? That's really the core conflict that defines the project today. So where does MultiversX possibly go from here? Based on everything we've looked at, it feels like there are really three potential paths forward. So let's look at the possibilities. In the bullish scenario, the tech finally gets the love it deserves. DApp adoption explodes, and we see a huge recovery. Then you've got the middle ground, consolidation. Maybe Multiverse carves out a specific niche for itself and sees steady growth, even if it never hits those crazy highs again. And then there's the bearish case. What if the competitors are just too far ahead? What if Multiverse just can't attract the users and developers it needs to stay in the game? But you know what? At the end of the day, the future here isn't going to be decided by speculators or token charts. The single most important factor, the one thing that will determine which of those scenarios actually happens, is real-world participation. It needs active users. It needs passionate developers actually building on the platform. Without that, all that amazing tech is just code. And so here we are, right back at our original question, but now with a whole lot more context. On one side, you have this brilliant, powerful technology. On the other, a brutal, unforgiving market reality.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. Is MultiversX a sleeping giant just waiting for the right moment to wake up, or is it a cautionary tale of great tech that simply missed its chance? The answer to that? Well, it's still being written.